So if you had a client come to you and they were like, listen, just tell me some of these traditions that I just shouldn't even do, what would you say?
Let's get rid of the bouquet toss, the garter toss, the cake cutting, and just focus on the party and the people. And so how can we find ways to simplify?
Welcome to The Lisa Show, where we take a good look at life. Hey, it's Lisa, and I'd like you to get comfy while I tell you a story about the 4th of July. Years ago, I decided to host my husband's family for a 4th of July family gala, where we would have all 10 couples together for a really fancy meal. We dress up, have it outside with outdoor lights and elaborate tablescapes, linens, a program, and even awards. I mean, if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing, right? Most of the Clarks don't really cook, so they were really complimentary of my cooking, and that made me want to go all out. So I focused on an elaborate meal with lots of courses and options and even additional options for the vegetarians. It was a lot of food, like a ridiculous amount. Now, by the time Christopher and I set up the tables, the linen, lighting, and all of that for the ambiance, I was already exhausted, and I hadn't even gotten to the food yet. And I had miscalculated the amount of stove and oven space I would have to get everything ready in time and to keep everything that needed to be warm, and everything that needed to be cold. Everyone started showing up, and I wasn't dressed or ready, so I stopped to do that quickly, but I was so focused on getting the food ready, I didn't welcome everyone the way I wanted to. And when it was time to eat, things weren't ready at the right time. And what I envisioned would be a lovely sit-down meal with the whole family turned into me apologizing that things weren't ready and bringing out random food at random intervals. Now, everyone was lovely and gracious, but when it was time to sit and have this fun program and funnier awards, I couldn't. I was just too busy being frustrated that the evening wasn't going the way I wanted. I could tell my guests felt badly about that too. It's not like anyone had the expectation for me to make this big meal. I had put that on myself. I also hadn't been willing to let go of any aspect of the planning to allow for the reality of time and space. The resulting stress? Yep, that was my own doing. Sure, the event looked great on paper and probably even on Pinterest if I had decided to share it on social media. It ticked so many boxes, but I was miserable. I mean, what's the point of throwing a party if you can't even enjoy it? That's why I knew I needed some help from my friends. Last episode, we talked with Brittany Jepson about how to celebrate better, and she talked about simplifying some of our approaches. But in this episode, we're going to really dig down into what that looks like and how to release the pressure valve around celebrations. Now, we all have big celebrations just around the corner. We're going to be tempted to pull a Lisa Valentine Clark 4th of July gala and want to do everything ourselves and do it well and do it bigger and do it better. But as that pressure starts to mount, we're going to risk losing the joy that makes us want to celebrate in the first place. And life is too short for that. So today, I've brought in two wonderful women who know all about the pressure that comes with celebrations. But they've also learned how to simplify celebrations without losing any of their impact. And this is why you ask friends, folks. Amanda Everson and Karen Trefsker have 4 ideas for simplifying celebrations while having more joy. Did you hear that? More joy. Yes, please. Let me introduce you to them.
My name is Amanda Everson, and I'm a wedding planner. I honestly think that the best part about weddings in particular and what drew me to them is the emotion behind it, the intention, the meaning. It's a meaningful day more than a corporate Christmas party is, right? Even more so than a birthday party, because we have birthdays over and over throughout our lives. But the wedding is the day, right? The love story. But how can you find a way to expand that so that it lasts more than just the day itself?
My name is Karen Trefsker. I write about minimalism, about choosing the things that are the most valuable and important to you and getting rid of the other things that might be taking away your time and your energy and your focus from those things that you really care about and want to accomplish.
Karen and Amanda come from different backgrounds. Amanda plans weddings and Karen writes books, but both of these women have devoted their lives to helping others find the most joy and satisfaction in celebrating when it matters most. And after spending some time with them, I was surprised that both Amanda and Karen had the same advice for me. That's when you know it's time to sit up and take notice. Amanda and Karen have 4 ideas for simplifying our celebrations, regardless of the occasion, and having more joy. The first is to pick your priorities. Amanda says that this is what it looks like when planning a wedding.
I always start with what's the big picture? What are your priorities and what is the purpose behind this event? Obviously, it's celebrating love, right? You can do this with any type of event. You can do this with a birthday party. Like, what's the point of the birthday party? Is it to celebrate you turning a really cool age? Is it to gather your friends and family? Is it to eat good food? Is it because you love Harry Potter and you want to do a themed event? Like, what is the drive behind what you're doing? What's the purpose? And then what, if you had to sit down, and I ask all my couples this in our first consultation, if you had to sit down and choose 3 things, that's it, about the wedding day that are most important to the two of you, what are they?
I think that's such a great question, because at the end of the day, you can try to make it all beautiful and wonderful, but is it the food, the dress, the photography, I don't know.
Yeah, and guest experience, they give all sorts of answers, but I write those down in my notes so that we can go back to them in 8, 9, 10, 12 months and say, okay, I know you're super stressed about the details now, but remember what you said here. This is what is most important about this day.
Now, you may not be planning a wedding anytime soon, but Amanda's advice applies to any celebration, whether that's Christmas, birthdays, anniversaries, or dinner parties. Pick what is important to you and remember that not everything needs to make the cut. Just a few things that are priorities to you, and stick to them. If these things happen, then you know you've achieved what you set out to do without trying to spread yourself too thin across a million demands. Karen says that when it comes to other celebrations like holidays, it's helpful to let family lore guide your priority list.
If you have 2 or 3 things that you sort of always do, I was thinking of Thanksgiving when my kids were growing up. My oldest child, my daughter, is very artistic, and she always liked to make these cute little place cards for everybody who was going to come. And my son, he'd help a little bit. And so they'd make all these place cards and place them on the table, and that was a thing that they really looked forward to. And then there's a couple of dishes that I would always make, and they're my mother's recipes, and I still make them. And now my daughter makes them too. And so they were things that we looked forward to. It wasn't Thanksgiving. If we didn't have Mama's corn pudding and we didn't have her cranberry salad, we had to have that. And then we had a family tradition where we would go around the table before the meal started and say something that we were thankful for or appreciated about the person to our left, something that they had done for us, a way they'd helped us, or maybe they'd shown up, or some aspect of their personality or their infectious laugh, or whatever it might be that we would come up with and say about that person. And without doing those things, it just wouldn't feel like Thanksgiving at our house. We could have anything else going on. We could eat chili instead of turkey, and it would be Thanksgiving if we did those things.
What is it that your family always does for a certain celebration? If you'll ask your family this question, their responses can guide your priority list because these are the things that have stuck in their memories, the things that have made an impact on them. For example, one thing we always do in the Clark family for Thanksgiving is a turkey bowl. We play football the morning of Thanksgiving in 2 teams, the Vipers and the Cobras. Now, when a new baby is born into the family, one of the uncles will raise that baby up and declare them either a Viper or a Cobra. And then that is the team that you'll be on for the rest of your life. I don't make up the rules. I don't know where this came from. It's just what they do. We play the game, and whoever wins brags about it for the rest of the year. Then we go to 7-Eleven, get Slurpees. And if that thing happens on Thanksgiving, it's Thanksgiving. What Amanda and Karen said rings true. A big celebration is inevitably around the corner, and we're going to feel the pressure to worry about everything. But if we simplify our must-do lists down to just a couple of priorities and stick with those, we'll find ourselves preserving what matters most to us and our families. You know, the thing that brings us joy. At a Clark Thanksgiving, it's going to be hot rolls, mashed potatoes, and an epic showdown between the Cobras and the Vipers. The second way we can simplify our celebrations is to focus on our guests instead of the little things that don't matter as much. Here's what Amanda had to say about that.
Just focus on the party and the people. I think so many people are running through their wedding day rather than taking the time to just be with the people. And honestly, I love a good intimate wedding. We had a wedding last week with 20 people. It was the most spectacular night. People danced all night long with that small of a group, and they were able to just have like a curated, beautiful experience with each of their guests personally. You can't do that when you invite 200 people to your wedding. And so how can we find ways to simplify? It's the people so much more than the things or the place that matter the most. And if we can go back to that as our intention and our drive. I went to a family reunion a couple weeks ago with my mom's side of the family, and it just doesn't matter where we go. We just have a good time, right? Like it's all about the people. And I think that goes into weddings and parties and even who you take to a concert or who you celebrate your birthday with, I think is really powerful in creating really good memories in small and big ways as you go throughout life.
The people factor is key when it comes to finding joy and celebrating. But that joy comes in two steps. First, we need to simplify our guest lists so we can actually connect with the people we've invited. And second, we need to make people, not the details, our priority. Sure, you can fuss over food and entertainment all night and go crazy until they are perfect. But if you never have time to interact with your family and friends in a meaningful way, then why get together in the first place? There's a famous quote by Maya Angelou that I love. She said, "I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." Preach, Maya. I mean, the details aren't what matter. It's the people. So rather than fretting over a perfect invitation, maybe we can take time to introduce our guests to each other so that they feel comfortable. Or rather than worrying about providing impressive party favors, maybe we can just give each of our guests a heartfelt hug or a comment before they leave. These little things are simple, they're free, and they're precisely the type of thing that will matter to our guests for years to come. The third way we can simplify our celebrations is to make sure comparison isn't invited to the party. Amanda has seen the difference it makes when brides and grooms aren't worried about keeping up with the Joneses on social media.
You can mimic anybody, right? Pinterest has great ideas. There's so many blogs out there, podcasts you can listen to about planning events. But how are you bringing you into the day, right? You're the one being celebrated, or you're helping to celebrate somebody else. And so how do you drive that? I had a client a couple months ago whom I love dearly and one of our biggest budgets of the year. And yet at the end of the day, she came up and kind of whispered, she said, "Amanda, I have to tell you a secret. One of my favorite elements from this day are the cocktail napkins with a picture of our cat on them." Okay? And it was just the sweetest thing to recognize that it wasn't the crazy flowers or the expensive food or the beautiful, beautiful venue that really made it for her at the end of the day. It was the little details.
Such great ideas. What have you found that people spend their money and time on that is just not worth it, that just drives you nuts?
Oh, that's a good one. Honestly, it's the things that don't matter. It's the things that aren't priorities to them.
It just sort of like feel like they have to.
Yeah, let's get rid of the bouquet toss, the garter toss, the cake cutting, because we're trying to kind of copy and paste all of the traditions, especially in the wedding world. Oh, I have to get a cake because everybody gets a cake. But wedding cakes are expensive. They can be anywhere from, $300 to $1,500, depending on the design. Does that really matter to you at the end of the day? What drives me the most crazy is when they're nitpicking the tiniest details that they actually don't care about, but they feel pressure from the outside world to be able to focus on. And so how can we let go of that? How can we break tradition in that regard and focus on things that matter most to us? And so can we go back to the basics? Can we make it simpler?
Focus on the touches that mean something to you, even if they don't matter to other people. It's so easy for us to compare our celebrations to those of others and get caught up in the pressure of trends. Do they look the same as so-and-so's? Are we doing the same activities? Are we purchasing the same things? The pressure of comparison mounts fast. I get it, though. It's happened to me, too. And that pressure can feel overwhelming and stressful and certainly not joyful. The truth is, a good celebration isn't a reflection of anyone else. It's a reflection of us and what we love. Like cats. But darn that social media if it hasn't turned the mirror in the wrong direction. We're so busy looking at what other people are doing that sometimes we don't take the time to think about what we really want. Karen explains that comparison isn't just problematic for us as parents. It's also problematic for our kids.
Particularly like of kids' birthday parties and how gigantic they have become. And even starting when the kids are 1 or 2 years old, but certainly by the time they're in school and you invite every single kid in your class, and it's got to be at some venue somewhere, and not only really expensive and maybe a burden for the family, especially if you have more than one child, but it's almost overload for the kid too. And most of our kids have plenty of toys already, and so then they get all of these loads and loads of gifts. And you don't even really have time to be thankful for each one because you're just tearing open, one after the other. And I just feel like that's not how birthday parties were when I was a kid, which makes me sound old,
No, me too. I just remember there was like a tablecloth in my backyard. My mom had ice cream and cake or cupcakes for the kids, and we maybe played some games. It was fine. It was great.
And that was it.
And
no big loot bags or anything like that. I think maybe social media is putting the pressure on that. I don't know. We could turn that around. We could put the opposite kind of pressure and post things where we show doing a simpler celebration with our kids.
Kids don't need a lot of hullabaloo to enjoy themselves, regardless of what social media tells you. I'm reminded of my toddlers who genuinely preferred playing with an empty box on Christmas morning than the toy that came in the box. As my kids have gotten older, some of their favorite parties have been the small and simple ones where they can spend quality time with their friends. If we are turning celebrations, especially those for our kids, into stressful and expensive productions, then we probably need to reevaluate who we are doing them for. If we want joy to show up at the party, then we can't invite comparison. The fourth way to simplify our lives and take pressure off our shoulders is gratitude. Not only is gratitude the antidote to comparison, but it's one of the easiest things we can do that will have the greatest impact on our gatherings. Karen says that gratitude changes how we see what we have, what we need, and what we do.
The best way is to recognize how much we already have, how much we have to be thankful for. And it's really easy to be thankful in the moment when we're given something. Right. We are taught from a really young age to say thank you, but to have a constant mindset of gratitude so that once we get that new thing, we're not looking for the next new thing, or we're not saying, oh, well, this is great, but if only I had this other thing too. But to really seek for contentment and just recognize how much abundance we already have, how many blessings are in our lives already. We give our kids gifts all the time, don't we? School's over, so let's give them a present. Summer is starting. That's the next week. Let's give them something. We drove through the fast food outlet, so we have to give them that little gift that comes with the meal. They see something while we're walking through Target or Walmart or wherever, and, oh, well, okay, yeah, I guess I'll get that for you, honey. Well, I know what that pressure's like, too. It's hard to say no to your kids. Am I always buying myself little treats? Maybe I go through Starbucks. I know I do way too often,
I was just like, wait a second, hold the phone, Karen. I want my treats.
I don't even think of that as a treat anymore. I think of that as, wow, I need this. I think why I started writing about gratitude so much is to be able to stop and go, wait a minute, am I really in need? Am I really in need? Or maybe they already have enough. Just that constant attitude of being thankful is something that if we practice it every day, wow, I think we could change the world that way.
There's a saying that gratitude turns what we have into enough. But I think it's bigger than that. Gratitude allows us to see our lives more clearly as a whole. It's a bird's eye view. It cuts through the comparison and the excess and allows us to leave behind what we don't need or don't really want. And when that happens, we're left with what matters most without the weight of everything else. Talk about a pressure release. If that isn't a recipe for joy, I don't know what is. And here's the magical thing about gratitude and simplicity. They can turn even the least ideal situations into treasured memories. Karen experienced this one Christmas after recovering from a serious illness.
I was thinking of maybe the first time my husband and I and our kids really celebrated a simple holiday. I had had pneumonia and I was still recovering. And if you've ever been really sick or had surgery or something and you're recovering, you wash a few dishes and you're just worn out now. I felt like all I wanted to do was just lay around. I could hardly breathe. I'd start coughing anytime I went out and did anything. I had bought a couple gifts for the kids before I got sick because I thought, you're always planning for Christmas early, right? But it was like 2 things each, really. And I hadn't done the tree, and I hadn't got down all the boxes of ornaments, and I hadn't decided where we were going to get our pictures taken, and I hadn't bought their special clothes for the pictures, and they were supposed to be in a dance recital, and all this stuff, and I couldn't do it. And my husband was working full-time, and the kids were little, so they couldn't really help. So he just said, okay, we're going to do Christmas my way. Now, this is a guy's way.
Dear. No.
And so he got a tree and he got 1 box of decorations and he and the kids put them up and it looked like a Charlie Brown tree. I'm serious. I'm usually this perfectionist, right? It's all got to be a certain color scheme and things have to be hung just so. No, it wasn't. They were so excited and having so much fun. I realized, okay, maybe that's okay. They're having a great time. I don't have to worry about it. For Christmas Eve, I made a pot of chili. Now we have chili every Christmas Eve because of that. And it was nothing fancy. We couldn't go to any choir rehearsals or dance class. We just didn't do it. We watched Christmas movies. And when the kids opened their little gifts, we got down on the floor with them and played and colored pictures and that kind of stuff. My mom invited us over for Christmas dinner. She told me not to bring anything, so I didn't obsess about it. I didn't bring anything, and it was fine. I almost think about it and go, wow, that's hardly Christmas at all, right? I mean, we played a lot of Christmas music.
Which is wonderful.
And we had the tree and a few little presents. But it was mostly me letting go of my perfectionist ideas of Christmas has to look like this. And that means I have to make all the food, get the clothes, arrange for the pictures, plan the party that we're going to have, all of this kind of stuff. I think women especially, we put this burden on ourselves, and maybe it's from social media. Before that, it was from women's magazines. All December, they're saying, or November, the best Christmas ever, right? And you're going to somehow produce that. You're the magician that's going to make it all happen. And so we feel this real pressure to perform. And when I couldn't and had no choice about the matter, it turned out that Christmas was great.
Yeah.
It was perfectly
Still happened.
fun. We had a good time. The kids especially were really happy, and my husband wasn't grumpy about all the things we had to do. And we just enjoyed being together and listening to the music and looking at the tree, and it was just fine. And that was kind of a wake-up call. It was like, maybe I don't have to do everything. Maybe I can pick and choose the things that really matter and just do those and let everything else go, and it'll be okay. And it really is.
Karen didn't choose to celebrate simply at first. Pneumonia forced her to. But it was a turning point for her. After having to shed the pressure of expectations and demands, Karen didn't find disappointment. She found what really mattered to her, her family, spending time together, and feeling grateful for the season. You probably recognize all the advice in the story that you've heard here today. First, Karen and her husband picked their priorities, decorating a tree, watching movies together, and listening to Christmas music. Those were the things they always did, and they were still there for the family to enjoy. Second, she and her husband focused on the people that mattered most to them, their kids and their extended family. Third, Karen let go of comparison. Did her tree look like the ones on her Instagram feed? Nope. Was her Christmas Eve dinner magazine worthy? Not when chili's on the menu. But the kids were proud of their tree, and that very chili is now a beloved family tradition. Finally, Karen was able to be grateful for her kids, her husband, her recovering health, her compassionate mom, and the many blessings that stayed even when expectations left. I've learned some important lessons in simplicity, too. Remember my 4th of July gala debacle? Well, recently I had the chance to throw another big party. This time it was the reception for my second, Owen, and their fiancée, Katie. And I knew it had to go better than my 4th of July party. So I started with priorities. My number one objective was for Owen and Katie to feel loved and realize that they had more people rooting for their marriage than they thought. I wanted everyone to feel at ease, including myself, and that's why I made some intentional decisions when it came to planning the party. First, I enlisted help. I knew I would never be able to enjoy myself and my guests if I was trying to do everything alone. So I had family and friends help me with wedding prep before the event. I hired someone to do the lights, since I knew that's what my late husband would have cared about most. And I got some college students to restock food and drinks and clean up so that I could spend time with the guests. In the end, the party was exactly what I hoped it would be. I will never forget how happy Owen and Katie were and how gracious, generous, and happy the guests were. I spent the whole night talking with friends and family. It was my dream, and it was perfect. Joy, folks. That's what we can feel when the pressure of celebrating has been replaced with simplicity. I'm grateful to Amanda Everson and Karen Trefzger for reminding us that if we focus on priorities, the people we love, and the gratitude we feel while avoiding comparison, our best celebrations are yet to come.
The Lisa Show is a production of BYU Radio, hosted by Lisa Valentine Clark. This episode was produced by Erica Price with help from Kenny Mears and Blake Morse, with post-production by Kit Merrill. For more information on our guest, links to her work will be in our show notes. If you haven't subscribed to The Lisa Show on YouTube, you can find even more content on our channel, including the Council of Moms, filmed live in our studio. As always, thanks for your messages. We read them all, and thanks for listening.